Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. The ESPN pound-for-pound rankings are disrespecting the top 3 fighters on their list. And, we start with, Canelo Alvarez, Anthony Joshua, and Manny Pacquiao. 3 of the best fighters in the world are being disrespected by ESPN's pound-for-pound list. And, I'm normally not one to critique someone else's pound-for-pound list, but this list is blatantly biased. Every pound-for-pound list is subjective and is based on what you believe is the best criteria. Some guys believe strictly it's only accomplishments. Some guys believe accomplishments can be subjective because, you can have a guy that's not an elite fighter win a belt, but then lose it the next fight. So you can't always base it on that. So some people have it against, hey, if you're beating and facing elite opponents, even if it's without the accomplishment, it goes based on your opinion, your thoughts, how you feel. So, I would never critique someone else's list, but on this one, we have to dig into the bias. And when you look at the bias on this, you see that they have Vasily Lomachenko at 1, Crawford at 2, Canelo at 3, Inouye at 4, Spence at 5, Usyk at 6, Fury at 7, Juan Francisco Estrada at 8, Gennady Golovkin at 9, and Manny Pacquiao at 10. Now, with this particular list, it's not a terrible list, but it's not a great list. And the reason why I see the bias in the list is it doesn't make sense. This is all being done by ESPN's writers and commentators, and you can tell there's a push for Vasily Lomachenko because really, if you look at the resume, you see that Vasily Lomachenko is an elite level fighter. He's a proven fighter. He's one of the best fighters in the world, and he's definitely top 5 pound for pound right now. Vasily Lomachenko is extremely talented and gifted. He has a great skill set, and so I would never disrespect Vasily Lomachenko. But we have to be honest and unbiased about Vasily Lomachenko. At the end of the day, he's never fought an elite level opponent. Yes, it's not his fault that Mikey Garcia was not interested in their fight. But at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez is facing elite level opponents. Terrence Crawford has gotten to be undisputed at 140 pounds. So at the end of the day, these 2 guys have not only accomplished better, but they fought better competition. So I can't understand why Vasily Lomachenko would be number 1 over Canelo and Terrence Crawford. I have to put Canelo Alvarez at number 1 because he's facing the most difficult and stiff competition in the game today, taking on the biggest challenges. And a lot of people don't like Canelo. They have a lot of issues with him, and that's fine. You don't have to like him, but you do have to respect, what he's trying to accomplish and trying to be great. So I will respect that. The fact that this guy is facing champion after champion, Danny Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, and so on. And even now, either Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, the guy is constantly facing champions. So I can respect that. He's already fought some of the best in the world, Floyd Mayweather, Landy Lara. So he's willing to step in with literally anybody. And one of the biggest critiques I've heard is, Canelo doesn't always look dominating against some of these opponents. Well, you also got to look at it like this, when you compare to guys like Vasily Lomachenko, Terrence Crawford, if you're not always fighting elite opponents, then you got to understand your performances are always going to look dominant. So at the end of the day, Vasily Lomachenko does look dominant in a lot of his wins, and it's simply because he's just overmatching these guys. He's not fought another elite level opponent to equal his greatness. And so I can understand. So at the end of the day, if we're going to be honest and unbiased, Canelo Alvarez, based on accomplishments, based on the level of competition that he's constantly facing, fight in and fight out, you have to make him number 1 pound for pound. And that's being honest and unbiased. And then when you look at Anthony Joshua was left off the list entirely. Tyson Fury was at number 7. And I have no problem with Tyson Fury being on the pound-for-pound list. Tyson Fury just won the WBC world title. In my opinion, he beat Deontay Wilder twice. I think, Tyson Fury is one of the best fighters in the world, proven that he's elite. But at the end of the day, they ignore the accolades and accomplishments of Anthony Joshua. Even when you just compare the 2 resumes, you see a guy like Tyson Fury has been fighting guys like Sefer Safiri, Francisco Pianeta, Tom Schwartz, Otto Wallin, while Anthony Joshua is fighting the Joseph Parker's undefeated world champion. He's fighting Andy Ruiz, a very good elite level hand speed fighter. Forget his appearance. Let's be honest and unbiased. He fought a very good Alexander Povetkin, who had only 1 loss on his resume. So Anthony Joshua is accomplishing this in 23 fights while, Tyson Fury's at 30 fights still fighting these type of guys. So at the end of the day, we understand that it's the totality of your resume, and the fact that Anthony Joshua is a unified champion, they're disrespecting him. He should be on the pound for pound list. And I understand some lists don't rank heavyweights, but we have to be honest and unbiased. Anthony Joshua deserves to be on the list if you're ranking a heavyweight. And then we get to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a certified Hall of Famer right now. He's a world champion. Manny Pacquiao, they disrespected him by putting him at 10 and Errol Spence at 5. And some people don't even have Errol Spence on their pound for pound list. At the end of the day, he is a unified champion, so I give respect to Errol Spence for being a unified champion, but it's also how you acquired those belts and the level of competition you fought, which makes the difference. A lot of people don't want to give Manny Pacquiao full credit for the Keith Thurman win, saying he was coming off of injury, but yet Keith Thurman had a tune-up fight before he walked into a Manny Pacquiao fight, a tune-up fight in which he won. And so at the end of the day, you see a guy like Kell Brook, who came off a knockout loss from Triple G, down 2 weight classes and a broken eye surgery. At the end of the day, he got no tune-ups. He was marched right into an Errol Spence fight, and he was obviously a wounded fighter. So you give Manny Pacquiao credit for how he won his belt over Errol Spence. And then you also see Keith Thurman was an undefeated world champion in his prime. All of those things, you can't look at Kell Brook and say that he was proven at the same level of a Keith Thurman. Let's be honest and unbiased. And to prove the biasness of the ESPN rankings, they ranked Errol Spence in the pound for pound after beating Mikey Garcia. You don't get ranked in the pound for pounds after beating a guy, moving up 2 weight classes to challenge you. Did Canelo get credit for beating Amir Khan? Did Loma get credit for beating Rigo? Did Triple G get credit for beating Kell Brook? No, none of these fighters get credit for fighting guys moving up in weight to challenge them. You only get credit if the guy beats you. That's the guy that gets credit, but not the guy taking on the fight in his natural weight class while he's forcing a smaller guy to move up. But let's be honest and unbiased.